it's never too late and that you can always make that change and that you don't have to make the whole change right now in this moment.
Welcome to the Midlife Reinvention Podcast, a podcast helping women in career and life transitions achieve clarity on their next steps so they can transform uncertainty into an energizing next chapter. I'm your host, Kavita Ahuja, and the founder of It's My Time Now Coaching. If you're wondering what's next in your career or life, you are in the right place. Through solo and guest episodes, you'll gain practical tips, tools, and inspiration to help you uncover blocks, gain confidence, and be, do, and have what you want. I rediscovered myself after the age of 50, and I know you can too. It's my time now to help you do just that. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in. Are you ready to stop feeling overwhelmed and start creating the life you truly desire without burning out? Many women feel stuck between the demands of their careers and personal lives, unsure of how to reduce the chaos. In this episode, we explore how to shift from overwhelm to intention with Michelle Gauthier, a life coach and former corporate executive who reinvented her life to help other women reclaim their time, energy, and joy. In this episode, you will learn Michelle's powerful 3-step process to pause, evaluate, and confidently say no to what doesn't serve you. Discover how to transfer your existing skills to fuel a successful life or career transition. And find practical ways to establish boundaries, reduce stress, and create space for what truly matters. So take the first step towards a calmer, more intentional life. Press play now and discover how to make your next chapter your best one yet. And don't forget to stay till the end, my friend, for the key takeaways and exciting new Black Friday offers you're not going to want to miss. This is something I've never offered before, so make sure to stay till the end to get all the details of these exciting Black Friday offers. Welcome to the Midlife Reinvention Podcast, a podcast for women in transition in their careers and life. I interview incredible women for this podcast who share their stories of reinvention and who will give you their insights and expertise on how to overcome the obstacles in your way to reach your vision for yourself in your next stage of life. I'm really excited to have on the show today Michelle Gauthier. Michelle is a professional life coach who helps busy, overwhelmed women create a more calm and intentional life. She's also the host of the Overwhelmed Working Women podcast. Michelle is a single mom of 2 adopted kids and used to be an overwhelmed, busy working woman herself. She quit her successful 20-year corporate career to become a life coach in 2017. And since then, Michelle has helped hundreds of women learn to navigate their careers and home lives with ease. So thank you so much for being on the show, Michelle. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Good. I love the name of your podcast, and it's just perfect with what you do. So
that's right. If the people who are meant to hear it, when they hear the name, they're like, "Oh, that's me." I'm like,
yeah,
"Yes, it used to be me too."
Exactly. So let's talk about that. Maybe we can start. I was reading on your website, and we had a discussion before. You had this kind of an epiphany evening or a moment where one night you were folding laundry and listening to a podcast, and that kind of changed the trajectory of your life. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that, and what were you doing before versus what you're doing now?
Yes, before the folding laundry.
Yeah.
Working. Yes, doing lots of work, I'm sure, all day long in a very brisk and stressed out manner. Yes, I was listening to a podcast and it was, I kept feeling that I was sick of my job. I had a corporate job. I actually really liked it for a long time. So I'm not a person who just like hated what I was doing, but it just got to the point where something inside of me was just telling me that there was more. I have a feeling that most of your clients probably come to you telling you something like this. Like
Yes.
I know
That was
there's
me
something
too.
more. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. But I didn't know what it was. And honestly, I didn't know how to investigate it either. So I just was kind of sitting with it. And then one night I was folding laundry and listening to a podcast, and it was a mom podcast. It wasn't about like changing your life or anything like that. But the guest was a life coach, and she just talked about how she helped her clients and what she did for them. And I just had this moment of like, this is it. I know this is it for me. And so I Googled best life coach, and Martha Beck came up. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her work. I love her. And I saw that she had a training program, and I signed up within 24 hours, and it was like a $7,000 investment. It wasn't $20 or something. So I just went all in at a time when I really didn't have a lot of time to learn this new skill, but something about it just totally felt right. And I think the amazing part is that I trusted that in that moment. I don't know that I had done that before.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. So you just kind of went with your gut. So there was no I think that's interesting because there was no like pausing, or was there? Like was there like any second guessing there, or
No, there
no?
really wasn't. I was just like, this is it. I think it was like a safe follow your gut because I didn't sign up for the life coaching training and quit my job. I signed up for the life coaching training and just gave myself something
Oh,
extra to do. So I thought, what could it hurt? Worst case, I've wasted $7,000. That is a lot of money, but maybe I'll learn something,
hmm
whatever. So I just knew that it would be the next right step. I can't say in that moment, I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to become a life coach and help women who are overwhelmed. I had no idea on any of that. I just knew that doing that training was my next right step.
Okay. So how long did it take for you to like from that moment where you took your training to actually leave your full-time job and do this for full-time?
About a year and a half or 2 years. I would say probably
Okay.
2 years would be
Okay.
safe. Yep. I did the training over the course of 6 months. And then I started seeing clients on the side, like on my lunch hour or in the evenings.
hmm
And at one point, I just decided I've got to do it. I couldn't grow my business to the size I wanted it to be while also doing a good job in my other job. It just got to the point where I couldn't do both.
Yeah.
And I was also getting divorced in the middle of that too, which took up quite a bit of my time. So
Yeah. So you're
it
going
was
through a
about
lot of
2 years.
transitions. Yeah. Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
I sure
Yeah.
did. Yeah, like
Yeah.
all the major life transitions, moving, switching jobs, getting divorced. I didn't have a baby, so I had that one going for
Okay.
me.
I think it's really important. Thanks for sharing that. It's really important for women listening who are considering changing careers, transitioning careers, because sometimes they think, oh, I have to leave everything all at once and then just go in fully. Whereas I love this example of you don't have to, like, you can do both, see how it is. And over a year
Yeah.
and a half, in your case, 2 years, then you know that it's something that you can go into full time. So that's
Yeah.
a really good lesson there. So I love how what you're doing now is helping women simplify their lives. And you were also kind of doing that in your corporate job, like career
Yes,
before. So
yes.
helping businesses simplify their businesses, right?
Yes,
So, so,
exactly.
so I often tell women that as well, is that you don't have to kind of leave, or like you take the important pieces of what you really love to do in your previous career, and you can always weave that into what you're doing now, or what you want to do, right? So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit, you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but what are some of the other obstacles you might have faced as you were making this transition from corporate to coaching? And how did you develop the courage even to do that?
Yeah. I wonder when I was thinking about that question, I'm like, yeah, how did I do that? I think it's because just little by little, step by step, you just keep taking that next right step until you get to the point where it doesn't feel like you're jumping off a cliff. It still feels scary, but you know enough to know. But I think what I did, the thing that I was telling myself at the beginning was that this was a whole new career for me and I was making a major transition, and thinking that way didn't really serve me. To your point of what you just said, I had this 20 years of experience. I led the women's network at my office. I was always helping to make things more simple, straightforward. And I also was a project manager. So I was great at moving things along and take this next step. And if we're stuck here, what can we do instead? Or how can we think about this differently? So it really helped me to see
hmm
I actually do have the skills to run a business and to be a coach based on my experience and the training that I did. It wasn't like I was really starting fresh, which is what my brain was telling me at first.
Yes.
So I think believing that a lot of the skills that I have, I mean, I think about it almost every day, things that I learned when I was in the corporate world that I use in my job today. So that was helpful for me to feel like it wasn't just totally starting a whole new life.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's so important. And I often say that, like, that's one of the first things we do is we look at what are your current strengths? Have you been utilizing them and what you're doing, and how can you transfer them, but also like expand on them? So it's not like you're, like you said, it's not starting from scratch. It's starting from experience, right? So
yes, exactly. Yes.
yeah. So
I wish I would
good.
have had you to tell me that in that moment. That would have been really helpful. Whisper that in my ear.
Yes. Yeah, that takes some of the anxiety or the anxiousness out of that big leap. And then again, of course, the action, taking the action. I always say that, like, you've got to just do something, even if
Yeah.
something small every day that's leading you towards your ultimate goal. So that's great. So
Yeah, there definitely was a point where I had to make the big decision because the company I was working for was being sold, and I kept getting extended to stay there. So eventually I knew that my job would end and I had potential offers for other jobs. And so I was just kind of hanging in there in the middle, doing both. And so I did. I don't want it to be like, oh, I just kept taking these little steps and suddenly I had this successful business. Like there was a moment where this is where the rubber meets the road. If I quit this job, quit the benefits, quit the bonuses, all the things that came along with it, it really was a big deal. And what helped me through that was the thought of I'm going to bet on me. Like I'm going to invest in myself. I have a ton of experience, which I worked through this with a coach, but I have had a ton of experience and I had a ton of success in a variety of areas of life. And there was no reason for me to think that I couldn't recreate that in a different way. So I really just had to keep going back to that. Like, I'm going to bet on me. I'm going to invest in me. I have done similar things like this before because you feel like I've never started a new business before, which was true, but I have done so many things to your point. I've had so much experience that I just knew I could do it. And I also knew like something about me that I am sure of is that I'm not just going to give up. So I knew I would just keep going until I got it.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. Now I'm going to bet on me. That's so good because that's kind of what I'd say. It's your time now. So like bet on yourself. You can do this. And the investing, it's not even just the money. It's the time and the effort. And if you have something that you really feel, like you said, you've went safely with your gut. But if you feel like that is your calling, then you're almost obligated to do it. And the rest will follow.
That's how
right?
I felt too. Because I thought if I did really well in a job that by the end I thought was okay, was like a 6 out of 10, and I love this job a 10 out of 10, how am I not going to make that happen?
Exactly. That's fantastic. That's really great. And then also like you had your own coach, which is great. Like everybody needs a coach.
I feel like
I had a coach too. And it's like, how do I do this? And so,
it was
we all
very
need guidance.
necessary. That's for sure. And I don't want to give the impression to your audience either that I just woke up and I was like, I'm going to bet on me. And then I got to work and it was magic. Some days I woke up and thought, what the hell am I doing? I woke up in the middle of the night feeling so anxious. Like, did I make a huge wrong decision? I can't believe I'm getting divorced and doing this at the same time. So I don't want to say that I never questioned myself. I just kept redirecting my brain and redirecting my thoughts to the thoughts that made me feel good and strong and confident, and looking at the evidence and writing down new evidence of all of the ways in life that I have been successful just through being open to trying new things and trying hard and continuing to work and being really authentic in my connections with people, all those kinds of things. And just reminding my brain, like, okay, I see you're trying to freak out right now. And I understand and appreciate that, but here's what we're going to focus on.
Wow. You just, that's an exact coaching method that I share with my clients because it's redirecting your thoughts. And so many people stop in their tracks because of that, because their thoughts go into spiral, negative thoughts where it's, oh my God, what am I doing? This is crazy. I'm just going to go back to the safety of what I'm used to and all of those things. But as you said, reminding your brain that no, I've done this before and I can do it
Yeah,
again. Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be okay. Just calm down. But before I had worked with a coach and done my own life coach training, it's funny. I went into life coach training thinking how many people I was going to help. And then as soon as I got there, I was like, oh, I know who needs help. Number one, it's me. I'm the one who needs, I need a coach. I need a therapist. I need all kinds of things right now. And
Yeah.
I did. And
Yeah.
that really super helped me. But I didn't realize before that time in my life that thoughts were not the truth. Like that thoughts
Mhm.
could come into my head without being true and that I didn't have to believe them and I didn't have to act on them. So it
Mhm.
makes sense if you don't know that if you get a thought in your head like, this is dangerous. I have to play it safe. I have to make X amount of money from my corporate job. So I can't do this. If I would have just believed that was true, I never would have made the change. So just
Mhm.
that little mind shift to know that our brain offers us thoughts to try to keep us safe, but doesn't mean they're true was
Mhm.
really a game changer.
Mhm. Yeah, that's great. That's a great advice. Great tip. Fantastic. So, Michelle, you deal with women who are overwhelmed and like have a lack of work-life balance and these never-ending to-do lists that are really causing their life to be chaotic, I guess. So tell me tell our listeners where some of the what do you see in your clients like when they come to you? What are some of the manifestations of all this overwhelm?
Yeah. Well, I'm a big believer that our brain tries to tell us to slow down. And when we don't listen, our body will insist that we do. So a lot of times they have physical manifestations like they're getting sick a lot or they're just physically exhausted. Even if they sleep, they're still exhausted. So I think that is a big one. And then they tell me a lot that they're feeling present nowhere. Like they're at work thinking about all the things they have to do and what they should be doing at home. And then they're at home and they're trying to spend quality time with their family, but they're checking their work email and yelling at their kids and feeling
Hmm.
bad, then guilty that they've yelled at their kids. So if you think about that feeling of never being present and just always feeling overwhelmed and like your nervous system is always kind of activated and you're just keyed up, it just affects everything, every
Hmm.
relationship, including the relationship you have with yourself. Lots of times I'll say, well, what do you do for fun or to relax? And they'll say, I can't remember. I don't even know what I used to do for fun.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's how it manifests. That's what it
Yeah.
looks like.
Yeah, yeah. It kind of every aspect of your life, the exhaustion,
Yeah.
feeling present but nowhere, and then feeling not present anywhere, I should say. And then relationships, both with yourself and with other people, right?
Yeah.
So how do you actually help women with this? Like, how do you actually help them reduce this overwhelm? I think you have like a 3-step process, or is there?
Yeah, I
Maybe you can
do.
talk a
I
little bit about
do.
that.
It's interesting because the people who come to me, which I, of course, attract that type of client because I feel like I was exactly like that, are usually like very accomplished, overachievers, perfectionists. They like to do a great job. So, all of those things can be very good. But when we're like that, we have learned over time that when things get tough, we just need to do more and work harder. So when
Hmm.
they come to me, a lot of times they think, well, I just need to like get a new planner to be able to plan all these things that I have to do, or I need to get more energy so that I can stay up even later. And so what they think will solve the problem and what actually solves the problem, which is doing less, learning to say no, creating boundaries, changing your thoughts, all of that is more the direction that we really end up going. So the first thing that I really tell them to learn how to do is to just pause and decide, do you actually, what's going on? How do you feel? Do you actually want to do this thing? Because what happens when you're an overachieving woman is you have a belief that if I don't do it, nobody's going to, or it won't be as good as how I do it. And also, I don't want anybody to ever be mad at me. And I want people to think I'm super capable. So that leads us to saying yes all the time. And most of the women who I work with say that they don't even know they're going to say, they just say yes almost as like a default without even
Mm-hmm.
really thinking about it. So the very first skill that we usually practice is just learning to pause. So if somebody asks you if you can, I don't know, cover for a colleague next week when they're out, instead of just saying yes, putting that pause in there and thinking, do I really want to do that? And then after they learn how to do that, and I even tell them too, if you can pause and realize you want to say no, but you can't quite get the courage to say no yet, it's okay. Just say yes, knowing though that you wanted to say no. That even that is a step in the right
That's
direction.
a step, yeah.
You can pause. Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
And then when they're in that pause, I tell them to use a love and fit test, which is asking yourself two questions. One is, do I love this idea? And the second one is, does this fit into the type of life that I'm trying to create? Which is different than, does it fit into my schedule? Like, is there a white space, which there probably isn't anyway, but it's not about the schedule and if there's time for it. It's about, does it fit into the type of life that I'm trying to create? So, for example, my daughter loves to ride horses, and then she wanted to get on this soccer team. And so we went and we tried out, and they had practice 4 nights a week. And it was far away. It was like 30 minutes drive from our house. It was during the dinner hour. I have another child. It was just like, I love the idea because I played soccer and I've always dreamt of my daughter being on like the Olympic soccer team. So I was so excited that she liked soccer. So I loved that part of it, but it just didn't fit at all into the type of life that I'm trying to create, which is where my kids and I have when they get home from school and I get home from work, that we're all together and it's a calm and relaxing place. And we're not constantly rushing off and everybody doing their own thing and eating fast food on the way. And so even though she wanted to do it and I felt badly telling her no, it didn't pass the love and fit test. And then the third step is just communicating the no. And women often feel the need to over explain when they say no. Like, well, I wish I could, but actually, like, I could have said, well, she takes horse and we have horse on this many days. And I just said, this just isn't a fit for our family. It's too much of a time commitment for us. And even that, I didn't have to
end
say.
Of sentence.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and even that, I didn't have to say, like, no can be a complete sentence.
Because it's a guilt, right? It's oh no,
Yeah.
no, wait, just because of this, and then oh yeah, I think I definitely can catch myself doing that. That's for sure.
For sure. And it's such a habit in the way that we were socialized too, to always put other people first and to worry so much about hurting their feelings. I shouldn't say I was. I don't know if you were too, but I can still catch myself doing it too. I'm like, wait a minute. No, I don't have to explain this. I just have to make sure that I feel good about it. And if I feel good about it, then that's it.
Yeah. Those are great steps. So pause and decide, love and fit test, and then communicating.
Yep. And just communicating the no.
Yeah. As you were talking, I was just thinking, when we, as women, and you mentioned this, but as women, we always looking at, generally, I'm making a generalization, is we look after other people so much more than we look after ourselves, right?
Yeah.
It's their priority. It's the kids, whether it's our kids or spouses, if we have them, elderly parents, employers, all of that. And then we're kind of, I would say, left to the last, and we don't give ourselves enough time for our own well-being and our own desires. So I would say you talked a little bit about this earlier, but the whole idea of establishing boundaries and saying no, I guess, would be part of it. But why is it important, firstly, to do that, establish those boundaries? And any tips, like how do we, I know that you said communicating the no, but what are some other ways that we can have that time to ourselves, establish those boundaries, and just how do we do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think I'm all about getting clear on what you want and then trying to make your thinking as clear as possible. And so I think learning about boundaries and figuring out what you really want requires clear thinking where you have to put yourself first. So for example, if I'm saying, I just feel like I have 0 minutes to myself in a week. Okay, so what do I want? What do I want? Do I want to be able to go to the gym by myself? Do I want to be able to, like, a boundary I have with my kids, for example, is my commute, quote unquote, home from work, is that I go in my room and I meditate. And it doesn't mean, now they're not little kids, they're teenagers. So that this might not work with little kids, but they know if I'm in my room and my door's closed, don't open my door. I'm meditating. It's 15 or 20 minutes and I'll be out. And they know that that's what I need after work. And then I can transition from work to home, even though I'm not going to a different place. And then I'm more energetic and I'm nicer and I want to make dinner. Sometimes I want to make dinner. I don't always want to make dinner, but just knowing what you want and being able to communicate that. And so once you realize what it is that you want, like in that example, I could just feel that they would come home from school and they would come into my office. And it was really, I liked that they were around, but they would interrupt what I was thinking about and be telling me about their day. And then I just sort of transitioned to being at home because they sort of forced me into it and then cook dinner and there's that mess, whatever. And I was like, I need a specific transition process. So I just had to ask myself, like, what do I want? How long do I want it to be? And then how do I need to communicate this? And sometimes you have to say, like, you guys cannot come in there. If you come in there, I'm going to, I don't know, take your phone from you for the evening or something. But I didn't even have to do that. I just said, I just need that time for myself. There's nothing you guys need that's urgent at that time. So if there is an emergency, come in. If there isn't, just give me 15 minutes. And they were really respectful of it.
I love that example. I love that for so many reasons, right? Because especially for people who are working from home, I often hear that it's like, oh, there's no barrier. There's no pause between like when I'm working and when I have to make dinner or whatever. So I love that you do that. I think that's really a great idea. It's like, I'm taking 15 minutes
I work with all my clients on that too, who work from home, because it really is. It's like we just got rid of that transition when we started working from home, but we actually need that transition time. And then I always encourage people to transition to home and then you don't have to physically stay home, but mindset wise, stay at home. Don't go like do dinner and then come back to work and get back into work mode and whatever. Just divide your day, choose what you need for the transition, make the transition. And then that can really make life feel so much more balanced as well.
Yeah, I never thought of that because I do the morning transition into work, but then I don't really do that. So that's a really great tip. I learned something about that. I might want to establish that into my routine.
Good.
So that's really great advice. So I guess I'd ask you maybe what's next for you, and also maybe what would be one piece of the women who are listening to this podcast, or generally women who, like we talked about, are in transition, either that's in their career or in other phases of their life, and you've gone through divorce and that. So it could be that as well. So what would be, I'd say maybe one last tip or comment that could add balance in their next chapter of life, or
Yeah, I would say that it's never too late and that you can always make that change and that you don't have to make the whole change right now in this moment. So if, for example, like being a life coach sounded interesting to me, and when I heard that person, I kind of knew that was it. But when I think about it, before that, I was always interested in self-help and like the law of attraction and kind of these like woo-woo things that weren't part of a normal business career. And so if you notice yourself leaning towards something that sounds like fun or interesting to you, that's a great way to bring in more little pieces of your future life. So I would listen to different podcasts. I would read self-help books. Some of my coworkers jokingly called me their life coach for years before I was actually a life coach. I sort of played that role among my friends. So if there's something that you're thinking about trying on, like maybe you want to do a job that's more creative, can you like take a painting class or redecorate a room or some little way to bring that transition in? Because I think sometimes when we try to go too far and think of the end result, we just stop.
I know that's exactly right. I mean, I talk about that with like, what are your passions? Like, what can you bring into your life that would make you passionate about it? And that creates that anabolic or positive energy, right? You talked about law of attraction. Yes. The more positive energy you have, then that fuels you forward. So that's really
I love that suggestion that you just said, because it doesn't even really matter what passion you bring into your life. Just bring something that feels passionate, and then you'll just keep going in that right direction. That's great advice. I love it.
Yes. Thank you so much. So Michelle, tell us where our listeners can find you, maybe what's next for you, what you've got, if you get any programs or anything coming up or anything that you'd like to share would be great.
Yeah, sure. You can find me at Overwhelmed Working Woman Podcast. You can find that anywhere that you listen to podcasts. And then my website is michellegauthier.com, just my name. And there you can find all kinds of things about how to work with me. I've written an article every week for the past 7 or so years. So I've got lots of blogs out there.
Nice.
Next for me, going into 2025, I always do a class at the beginning of the year to help people look back and appreciate what they've done in the past year. Cause it seems like by the time we get through the holidays, people are like, okay, I got to start fresh. I got to do everything new. But really, we've had 80, 90% wins from the year before. So we look at what's working, think about the things we want to change. And I help people create goals and things like that for the new year. So that's one of my favorite classes to teach. So I'd say be on the lookout for that.
Fantastic. Yeah. So they would be able to find that information on your website.
Yep. On my website. Yep.
Yeah. And if anybody has not heard Michelle's podcast as well, it's really awesome. So I'd encourage everyone to go on there and have a listen and have some tips on how to reduce the overwhelm and to live the life that you're meant to live, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Between the two of us, hopefully we can just get everybody living their best life. I think it'll take more than the two of us, but we'll do our best.
You're on it. It's a good start.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Shell, for being on the show. It was wonderful to have you and some great tips and advice. And I encourage our listeners to check out your website.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You take care. I trust you enjoyed this inspiring episode with Michelle Gauthier, and it was a powerful reminder that it's never too late to take control of your life and move toward the calm, intentional future you deserve. As we wrap up, here are 3 key takeaways to keep in mind. Number 1, bet on yourself. Trust your instincts, even if the next step feels uncertain. You have the skills and experience to navigate any transition. Number 2, pause before you say yes. Michelle's 3-step process, pausing, using the love and fit test, and confidently saying no, can help you prioritize what aligns with your vision. And number 3, start small and think big. Begin incorporating elements of your passions and future goals into your daily life, no matter how small they may seem at first. I hope this episode inspires you to explore what's possible in your next chapter. Remember, reinvention isn't about starting over. It's about building on your strengths and aligning your life with your purpose. To that end, if you need help as you're transitioning in your career or life, I'm excited to offer you 3 Black Friday offers you won't want to miss. My first offer is 25% off my online course, It's My Time Now, only until midnight on Friday, November 29th. This comprehensive online course with 7 transformational modules is packed with tools, exercises, videos, and templates to help you uncover your Ikigai, and it takes you through my framework of rediscovery called the Pyramid of Reinvention. If you're wondering what's next and don't know where to start, this is an excellent place. From now until midnight on Friday, November 27th, 2024, this life-changing course is 25% off my regular rate, now at $375 US. Email me at support@itsmytimenowcoaching.com for your discount code for my online course, It's My Time Now. And that's not all, my friend. I have also decided to add another incredible offer for you, which I have never offered before, because I really want you to kickstart the new year with clear intention and purpose. I'm offering $1,000 off my signature one-on-one coaching program, It's My Time Now. You heard me right. From now until midnight on Friday, November 29th, I'm offering you $1,000 off my 12-session one-on-one transformative coaching program. In my one-on-one coaching sessions, we dive into who you are, what you really want, and devise a plan to get there together. It is a comprehensive and life-changing chance to work with me one-on-one. I have transformed my life, and the lives of countless others using the exact tools and techniques I will share with you, along with my guidance and accountability to finally say yes to the future you are waiting for. I will be offering this again, my friends, so if you have even the slightest curiosity, email me at support@itsmytimenowcoaching.com and we can have a conversation about where you are and where you want to be. I can take you there, my friend. Again, $1,000 off my one-on-one 12-session coaching program only until Friday, November 29th. What are you waiting for? Also, if that's not enough, I have a third offer, and that is this. If you refer a friend to this podcast or to my coaching services, I'm offering 1 free hour of coaching just for you. That's right. If you find this podcast helpful or know someone who's going through a career or life transition and is wondering what's next, please do refer them to me, and I will schedule 1 free hour of coaching for you right away. All you have to do is reach out to support@itsmytimenowcoaching.com and share the name or copy them on the email of someone who you feel may benefit from this podcast or coaching with me, and you will receive 1 free hour of coaching. I'm doing these offers, I'm offering these to you because I believe in you. I believe in your ability to move forward with confidence, and I want to help you get there. So, you have 3 incredible choices. 25% off my online course called It's My Time Now, a never before offered $1,000 off my signature one-on-one coaching program, or 1 hour of free coaching if you refer a friend to this podcast or my coaching program. I want to help you in any way that I can to realize your next best chapter with confidence and clarity. So don't hesitate to reach out again at support@itsmytimenowcoaching.com to claim your gifts today. Remember, if not now, when? Till next time, my friend, stay well and stay confident.